You are watching or listening to the Good Morning Gwinnett Show, hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney, bringing you your daily dose of business and technology to educate, empower, and inspire small business owners. Be sure to subscribe to the show today.
Good morning, all my Gwinnetians out there in Gwinnett Land and all of my friends around the world. It's a beautiful day here in Gwinnett County, 52 degrees going up to a high of 73. Lovely. You know what's interesting though? It's supposed to rain on Friday and Saturday. So I'm a little bit upset about that because we have the Gwinnett Women's Chamber on Friday, and who wants to be in the rain trying to look all cute with a gown on in the rain? Here's the thing, nothing we can do about that. So listen, if you're gonna wear your toes out on Friday, put your shoes on first. Put your dress shoes on at the gala because it's supposed to rain. So let's pray that it do like what it does in Georgia. It rains a little bit across the street and then it stops. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen here in Georgia. The rain, it'll rain on my side of the street and be totally dry across the street. I'm not exaggerating. Ask anybody in Georgia, they would tell you it's really lit. But anyway, I ain't gonna keep talking about that because it's gonna be beautiful nonetheless. By the way, if you have not heard of the Gwinnett Women's Chamber, please go to GwinnettWomen'sChamber.com to find out more information. You won't be able to make it to the gala this year, but there is a button that says, "Hey, see you next year." You can already go ahead and become a sign up for next year's gala because it's gonna be nice. It's a green theme, so I'm expecting everybody to be seen in green Friday at 6 p.m. All right, listen, I got a great guest with you today. Let me tell you something. AI is changing the game on so many levels, but I think one of the things I'm excited about is to talk to him about how AI is helping his clients from an agency perspective, right? So there are a lot of marketing agencies out there, and I have seen them do some amazing things in the space, but I know that some of the clients may have some concerns. So we're going to talk a little bit about how they're helping, how AI is helping them help their clients, also how is it helping them to be more productive and efficient in their own agency, and what are some of the things people are thinking about when you talk about authenticity and ethics. Because I know I had a conversation recently with someone about authenticity, and for me, I have my own views of that, but I want to bring my guest up today. So my guest this morning is Mr. John Carter III. He is the president of Third JC Enterprises, which is a multimedia. He has a multi-fictional empire. Functional empire. He has so many things going on. He has his cake. Let me tell you something. It's very rare, and I talk to a lot of people. I've been talking to people since 2008 doing this kind of thing right here, right? It is very rare that I go to a website and say a capability statement. Very rare. So when I went to his website, because I had to do my homework, y'all. I had to do my homework. He is capable of many things. Let me just say that. His agency is an agency that's capable of a lot of things, but most importantly, helping small businesses get the visibility that they need, help them get the drive traffic to the websites and build these thriving companies that they set out to start. So I'm going to bring Mr. Carter to the stage so we can jump right into this thing, because I know y'all want to know, because I want to know what you doing. Welcome to the stage, sir. Welcome to the stage.
Good morning. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm wonderful this morning. Sometimes I come out, John, and I'm like hyper, what's the word? Hyper.
Yeah, I noticed you were talking about, I was laughing backstage. You were talking about what was it? Did you call it the Gwinnett's?
Gwinnetians.
Gwinnetians?
Yes,
Oh,
we're
okay.
Gwinnetians.
I was thinking about Beyonce, the Beyonce folks. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, yeah, I got your own thing.
Yeah, we're the G-Hive.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I like that.
I might have to bite that. Don't bite that, y'all. Don't bite
that.
Don't bite that. Sometimes I wake up, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get up. And here's the crazy thing. I think I'm at 1,070 episodes of the show right now.
Oh man.
Yeah,
nice.
That's a lot. And sometimes you get a little burned out, but I think what is happening with me right now, because I have had to pivot the show, because I've been doing live for 5 years, 5.25 years, live shows. Most of them have been audio. And I spoke at Podfest in January. By the time I got back home, my hosting platform said we're no longer going to do live audio. And I'm like, what? So I went through a period of mourning, like, well, how am I supposed to do my show? So the next best thing was to go all out with video. And then I was like, I'm gonna do 4 video shows a week live. And I was like, after doing like 2, like that's not gonna happen. We gonna break it down to 2. So, I'm excited because now the show is taking a different spin. So I do 2 video shows a week, and then I turn the videos into podcast episodes. So I don't do 4 shows anymore, and I have to change all my marketing stuff because it's like, okay, and I'm happy about that. So now I get up and I'm a little bit more bubbly. Not only that, I have to make sure I look decent. I can't come out with my sweatsuits on because I'm live on video. And, people can be a little cruel sometimes. They probably gonna be cruel anyway. Don't matter. But anyway, enough about me and my nonsense. John, welcome to the show, sir. I know you help a lot of people with your agency. You have a multimedia agency. You are Wix certified. You're a Wix partner, Adobe Educator, Education Exchange Trainer. I don't even know what that is, but I'm sure you can tell us what that is. I like Wix, right? So I use 2 things. I use WordPress and I use Wix.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Those are my 2 favorites. And so John said earlier, he said, I like your website. I was like, which one? I got like 5. I got like 5 websites. Which one you were looking at? It was her and he liked the one that I don't like. That's the funny thing because
I went to the one that you were actually that it was off of LinkedIn because I actually didn't know about the other one. But for me, as long as I've done it, I'm always looking at other people's websites and looking at what works, what doesn't work, and just what's and the artist in me. First thing I do is it aesthetically pleasing? And then the professional in me has got to say, okay, can I get to what I need to get to?
Yeah.
And the 2 things that everything else is icing. That's the cake.
Yeah. I think for me, I have not updated that site because I just been so busy with Good Morning Gwinnett because that's my baby. So it is a division of Noise Media Network. So I spend most of my time there. And then I have the chamber websites and all the chamber stuff that I do. So I really have 4. I don't think I got 5. I might. No, that's not true. I have 5. Anyway, I digress. You're in the multimedia space and you help people with marketing and so many things. And we're talking about AI today because I'm in love with AI, but I'm a little afraid of AI at the same time. It's kind of like that thing, you love them, but you hate them just a little bit. It's like that kind of thing. I don't hate it, but I'm a little bit afraid of it because it's so powerful and it's only growing. I know you work with a lot of business owners. And so, and you're an expert at what you do, like your training and all the things that you do speak for itself. But when you decided to incorporate AI into your organization, what was that like?
For me, it was, and full transparency, I came into this with the same, well, not the same level of anxiety, but enough anxiety where I was tiptoeing into things. Interestingly enough, I became exposed to it much through monetized marketing with the little sisters, Alicia and Lorette, and they were actually doing a summit, an AI summit, through an organization that we both have in common, Traffic Sales and Profit, and that was my lead in because I was always curious about what it can do and how much more I can push the needle forward in my business and for my clients. But that's always, when you work with technology enough, you can't help but have a healthy level of anxiety about what could go wrong for your clients and for you. So I always kind of tiptoe into it and, okay, first I want to see what I can do for me and what I can do for my clients. But then I also want to see, okay, sit back for a few minutes and say, okay, how could this go left on me so that I could actually be a little bit more mindful of it? And even now, even the things that I use on a regular basis, I'm always taking that path of caution. Even if there's a healthy level of security, I always take that path of caution because, something happens, you have to clean it up. Absolutely. Ultimately. So that's at the end of the day that I always take that level of caution. That's why when I first started learning, I started making myself receptive to organizations that are, for lack of a better word, watchdog organizations that I spend more time not necessarily denouncing the technology, but being observant of the ways in which it could be abused. And wherever possible, I like to get close to them, join and align myself with that, because I want to know what people are doing to keep an eye on it, what people are doing to be mindful of it and stay away from the plays in which it goes left.
Mm-hmm.
That's important to me because my business relationships are based on just that relationship. And I got to take care of your brand the same way you do.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it.
So let me ask you this. So you became this watchdog, kind of just watching to see what things were going. What were some of the things that, or did you discover anything that, you know what, I need to be a little bit cautious about this thing because there's so much happening and so many. When I tell you guys that there's so many tools out there and so many resources, just so much. Here's the thing though, you can't, it's kind of hard to decipher what's real, what's true, because it looks so good, a lot of it. So in your when you were doing the watchdog thing, did you find anything that was alarming to you?
I think what's alarming to me is the same thing that it has always been. Is for me, the great majority of my my business has been based in the beginning stages in graphic design, creative imagery. So that part is the part that I'm always looking at it side-eyed because I see so much more images of things that aren't really possible of happening or not really going to happen, very likely of happening. I give a perfect example. One of my high school colleagues, one of my high school peers, he had a picture up, and I've seen it like 3 dozen times already. It was a picture of former President Trump and current President Biden hugged up and got their arms around each other and all of these lovey-dovey pictures. And clearly that's very unlikely to happen. But at the same time, it's just one of those things that keeps me very cautious. But on the same token, I also am very mindful of the fact that ultimately a lot of folks don't do their due diligence anyway. And that's not just dogging anyone. That's just being honest. Sometimes you will look at something, and in the hustle and bustle of your day, you won't take the time to try and see how likely this is to be accurate or inaccurate. You just take it at face value. And ultimately, the interesting thing about it is it was like that with Photoshop. Remember, that has become a catchphrase. That's an actual term in our vocabulary now.
Yes.
And it was just on a lower level. This was what was going on. You could do so many incredible things with Photoshop. And people were thinking that this was, the fall of being able to believe what you see. And now it's a step further with AI, but we were still doing that. And that same level of vigilance that we had there, we have to be here. But you don't necessarily throw the technology out. You just have to be more cautious because it's on a different level now.
Yeah, I'll tell you something funny. So, I get a lot of people pitched to be on the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this guy sent me 5 pictures. 5. And I'm looking at the pictures and they all look like somebody different. So when I'm face to face with him having a conversation, I'm looking like, that's not you in any of those pictures. It was hilarious. 5 different pictures. They were him. He's like, yeah, I'm sending you some pictures. I said, okay. Because people send me pictures because that's one of the requests.
Mm-hmm.
Send me 5 pictures. And none of them looked like the person that was sitting there talking to me. And I'm like, what? So I'm looking at the 5 pictures going, yeah, so this is definitely some AI, some photoshopping going on. Because I'm looking, and then he comes, it was hilarious. And I had to show I think I showed my daughter, like, look, okay, so what do you think about this? She's like, who are they? So it's the same person. Can't be. It's the same person. So you're right about that. But I think the other thing too, the scary part to that is that I've seen people who really don't like what they look like, and they changed that. Like if you had seen that, you would have been like, who is that? It was 5 different pictures. That was supposed to be this one person. So they're using the technology to kind of change things, but to fool people. And I think that's a dangerous thing. So when you think about the ethical side of that, you don't know who you're getting. Because you can take the same pictures and put them on your social media. It's crazy. Like that part is a little bit, You talk about catfishing.
Yeah.
Listen, people, watch out for those because they're out there. And what's
Mhm.
crazy is people don't think anything is wrong with that. Like he sent me those 5 pictures just as proud. I'm like, bruh, like, like seriously, like you
Yeah.
sent me for me, like you giving people these pictures. But anyway,
Mhm.
let's talk about the good side of the good side of AI because I know, for me, I'm not artistic, right? I can't draw a
Mhm.
straight line, John. Literally, I can't back up straight like I fell it on the road test, and I can't draw. I try to draw a straight line. So can you imagine? I'm trying to do my eyebrows. It's like this be me, right? So I'm not artistic like that. I'm an idea person. Like I come up with the best ideas, a lot of them, which sometimes I
That's the
think is good.
coolest
But
part. But that's the coolest part. I
oh
mean,
my
I'll
God,
just give
that's
you
my
no,
gift.
no. I'll give you an idea. I'll give you a concept. That for me, that's one of my. I should say that's my secret sauce as it relates to this. One of my favorite technologies is Midjourney, which is the
Mhm.
generative AI.
Yeah.
Basically, it creates the pictures.
Yes.
There's like 5 dozen growing to who
Yes.
knows how many more as
Yeah.
we're talking, but that's been my go-to because mainly because of the ones that I use on a regular basis. That's the one I've upgraded, but that's also the one that gives me the results that I actually that I like the most. And to your point, the coolest thing about that is when you give the instructions to create the images, which is called a prompt, that that's when the ideas come into play because the more elaborate my ideas are, the better the better output I get, and the closer it is to how I envisioned it.
Yeah.
It says 2 things to me. Number one, that's one of those things that speaks to the human component because there's always something that you're coming up with that a computer is not coming up with.
Yeah.
And for me, starting out as that kid that used to draw on the side of my notepad when the teacher was talking, I've always been thinking of concepts. And as it relates to the AI component, I get real elaborate with those prompts, and that actually generates some really impressive results. So I would think that for you, that would actually be the a really great equalizer for you to be able to go in and put together a prompt, a really elaborate prompt, and you may come up with something like light years beyond what you actually envisioned initially.
Yeah.
For me, that's actually the best thing about being able to generate that. It automates the process, but the idea is mine, and I can be all the way out in left field
Yeah.
and really come up with something impressive, even more impressive than I envisioned it. Like, wow, this is all right. I didn't even think about that.
That be me. So that be
Yeah.
me sitting up doing the exactly what you said because I can't draw, but I've
Mhm.
always been extremely. I call it a gift because people can say one thing to me and my mind has put the whole plan in place. Like
Mhm.
it just happens. I can't help it to the point where my daughter and husband won't even say anything about anything they're planning to do because if they said out their mouths, by the time they finish tell me what it is, I have the entire plan like completely in my like complete marketing everything in my mind, right? So you're
Mhm.
right about that. So for me, when it on the artistic side, I can say I want this, and this. I did a logo recently for something that I'm launching at the gala on Friday, right?
Mhm.
It was so precise. The computer only had to do it one time. I was in love. I was like, that's amazing. And it was that precise till it only had to generate it one time. And I was like, that's it. It nailed it right from I loved it. And so, that thing right there for me, you're right, is a great equalizer for people like me who cannot draw a straight line. Like I feel like an artist. Like I want to do all kinds of artistic things. Now, that
Mhm.
being said, it makes it harder for serial entrepreneurs or multi-passion entrepreneurs because if you go in there and start messing around with AI, you're going to get a whole bunch of new ideas that you didn't think about. And multi-passionate entrepreneurs, we want to do them all. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind of like fighting the curse. Like, oh my God, like it's another one I want to start. So you're right about that. Now because of how good AI is, has it helped your business in bringing in clients, or has it make you lose clients because now people say I don't need John and his company. I can go ahead and do this thing myself.
Um, I don't think up to this point, and again, full transparency, I'm still in the initial stages of implementing, which brings a lot of interesting epiphanies for me. But
Mhm.
it's still very exciting time. I don't think that actually happened, and even if it does, it wouldn't be the first time because I've been doing graphic design since '97. I've been doing web design for about since about '03, and I've been training for about since 2011. I don't know how I got all these stats together, but the point is, in each of those areas, there's always an instance where there's a technology that I'm utilizing or something that I'm actually bringing to the table to accent whatever type of output I'm providing for them. And this is not any type of secret military level technology. This is stuff that's readily accessible that they could actually use and do the same thing for themselves. To the point you're making, we talking before we got on live. You were mentioning a colleague that actually has the ability to execute these flyers or logos, something on Canva, and doesn't want to do that.
No.
The technology has always been there, and then I've had those instances where that person said to me, um, "Well, I could do it myself, but you could have always done it yourself."
Yeah.
Ultimately, we were talked about this offline too. I think there's always going to be that individual that has that doesn't have the desire, doesn't have the time, or doesn't have the interest,
Yeah.
and that's always going to be the case. It's not. It's a very small percentage of clients that actually happens with, and I never really worry about it because it's an always present scenario. Someone is always going to decide to do that. I might
Yeah.
be in the middle of a project and then they decide, well, we wanted to, what's the professional term?
Go
We
in a
wanted to
different
go in
direction.
another. Thank you. We wanted to go in a different direction. And what are you going to do? I mean,
Yeah.
they don't want to work with you anymore. They don't want to work with you anymore. And
True.
ultimately, the best synergy comes from those collaborative relationships. So if you're not in love with the relationship,
Yeah.
then you got to go anyway because this is going to be a painstaking exercise for all of us.
Yes, it is. So you say you had an epiphany. Was it an epiphany about your company, or was it an epiphany about the companies that you serve?
Um, More so about the companies I serve. I have I'm I'm very close to what goes on here, sometimes too close, but a lot of times these things I think I say ongoing epiphanies because with each passing day, with each passing service, there's a different level of interaction and different things that you gain only from interaction with different levels of clients. Because there's always, I've stayed very close to the small business arena, but for me to scale, I have to go talk, I have to spend a little bit more time getting familiar with the big dogs. But my heart is always with the small business because that's where I started, and in a lot of ways that's where I still am. But each particular level of client, it comes with a different level of challenges and observations, and those epiphanies are different based on who you're actually interacting with. If I was doing a government contract for someone, obviously I'm gonna have a whole different level of interactions than I would with doing with something with somebody who wants to do a logo or a flyer or just a graphic on Midjourney.
So now, because I think about this, I have a friend. She's an attorney,
Mm-hmm.
and she refuses to work with new entrepreneurs with startups. She's like, they can't pay me, and that's her thing. She's like, they can't pay me, so she totally refuses. So, have you been in a situation where you have said, you know what, it's time for me to pivot. I'm ready to scale. And honestly, I can't really afford to serve these clients anymore because they can't afford me. You know, Has that ever been your situation, or you say, you know what, I'm going to keep a space open just for them, but
Yeah. That's a real good question. And I'm kind of there now, but I have to elaborate on that. And I use this is the perfect example. One of my favorite clients, Miss Dorothy. She's a caterer here in Jacksonville, Florida, which is where we're headquartered. And she said to me, and I'm her go-to for graphics. And the last website version that she had, I did. But she said to me, and this is a regular client, she was like, you need to stop working with the smaller clients because they're not going to pay you your worth. And it was very jarring, but it was liberating, but it was very jarring at the same time because it's coming from someone who I'm her creative go-to.
right.
But at the same time, it didn't sway me from working with them. It just means that, look, as I make a pivot, I just need to basically open the circle up where I can have conversations with people that are not on the same level of business work that I'm used to. Because for me to scale, I'm gonna have to talk to these guys that are on a different level,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously I'm going to have to interact with them in a different way, but I still have a heart for these smaller businesses. And ultimately, sometimes that's part of the problem, is that you have smaller businesses that people don't want to deal with, and then they just kind of flounder around because they're trying to figure everything out for themselves, and people that know things that they don't know or can do things that they can't do in and of themselves, they don't want to deal with them.
Yeah.
Now, dealing with the smaller businesses, obviously that comes with a level of challenge that's
Yeah.
unique to that area. But I can't I can't do that. I just it's just not in my heart to do that. Plus, it's some really great observations that I bring from those interactions by working with the smaller organizations. I just have to, for my own sake, be a lot more definitive and rigid with what my observations are and be willing to say no.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for me, is working with smaller organizations, is just being able to say, look, this is where we are, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do. And one of the things that has helped me tremendously is starting to ask people price points, budgets, and range, so I can give an idea. If I have a desire to work with you,
Yeah.
then I can work within the confines of that and not X you out the equation totally.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I don't pull you away from what I'm doing, what I want to do with you, simply because I have you think that you gonna think I spend too much, I might charge you too much money. Because there are client times where I have someone that I was talking with, and we're having an initial consultation, and I'm looking at what they're envisioning, I'm looking at their branding, and the wheels are already clicking. I'm thinking, okay, we can do this.
Yep.
You might want to consider this. And I'm like 5 miles down the road with regards to the creative process, and I've already decided in my mind I want to work with you. And you looking at what you've seen me do, or what you've seen my website looks like, and you're thinking, oh wow, he gonna charge me out of my price range. So the conversation is like, okay, what are you able to do with regards to budget, so I can work with you? Because I wanted to work with you, I seen something I could bring to the table that would really help you push the needle forward. But instead of saying, okay, my price is this point, and if you can't meet it, then we ain't got nothing to talk about. No, where can we meet in the middle so I can work with you? Because there's some things I'm seeing that I can contribute if you want to work with me.
Yeah.
I think that's important. We can't just disregard them, because every business started as some level of mom and pop operation. Everyone.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's so interesting. I had a conversation with a young man. I think it was last week. He has a concept that he wanted to do. It's for a gym.
Hmm.
And I came recommended by somebody high up, right? They said call her because everybody know to call me. You got an idea? Call Audrey, right? So they said, call Audrey. So I did a 15-minute discovery call with him. Love this concept. Had great ideas for better concepts. So I create what's called micro plans, right? These like micro. So you come to me, you say this is what I do, and I create a micro plan for you. But this is how I know when people are ready to go, or and ready and serious to go, because they'll come back and say, hey, I just paid the consult. So I call it a consultation fee. But with the consultation fee, because I just talked to you, you're going to get a micro concept back in a plan, right?
Hmm.
Never heard back from them. And my consultation fees are pretty minimal for startups. You know, it's really small. Now, if you go there talking about some tech stuff, you're gonna get a big number. But if you're a startup and you know you're trying to figure it out, it's pretty reasonable, right?
Hmm.
But I realized for me, because I used to just do everything for free. I'm gonna talk to you for an hour for free. I don't do any of that anymore, because what I realized was people was wasting my time. They weren't gonna do anything. They were kicking tires, and I was like, I
Yeah.
can't do that anymore. And I did that for years. And I think the last time I did it, um, I was in my office. This guy was writing a book, John, right? He's writing a
Hmm.
book. He comes to the office because I'm doing free consultations, right? Because I want to
Right.
help you. I want to help you do this thing, you know. So I'm gonna do this. He came like 4 or 5 times. On the fifth time, my husband said, I think he just coming just taking information. He came five, but that was
Mm.
my
I
fault.
like it. Yeah.
He came 5 times. He got everything he needed, and he went back and he did his book. Never paid me a
Wow.
dime. That was the very last time I did this. So now I do these concept calls, these discovery calls, and I create micro concepts for people. But I realize, and they should realize too, if you're not willing to pay the minimal fee, you would
Hmm.
never be a great entrepreneur, because we have to sacrifice so much to be like, I don't know about you, but I sacrificed to be where I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
27 years, it was a sacrifice a lot of those years, and I gave up a lot. So if you can't set aside a few $100s for someone who's been doing this thing for 27 years,
Hmm.
how far do you think you're going to go?
Yeah. And I think for me, one of the things that I kind of wrestle with internally is that I have more of a heart for the people that I serve than I even give myself credit for. Because
Mhm.
I actually, as my 9 to 5 experience, I have spent the great one half of my world has been in the creative space.
Mhm.
The other half, almost 20 years, maybe more in the nonprofit area. So automatically for me to have been in that space means that I have some level of compassion for the people that I serve. But at the same time, it sometimes becomes, I won't say problematic, I say it becomes challenging because you sometimes want more for that client than they're willing to invest within themselves.
Yes.
And ultimately, you have to draw a hard line for the benefit of yours so that you can move forward.
Yes.
And for me, it's been difficult mainly because the heart in me sometimes thinks that I am being wrong, I'm doing wrong for actually being that way, drawing that line. But the professional in me knows that I will never progress past this level if I don't do that.
Yeah.
Because some people know exactly what they're doing, and
Yeah.
other people do this out of desperation to move the needle forward. But the one thing that is missing in that equation is the fact that a lot of business, most business, has a strong relationship component. And establishing those type of relationship, you cultivate an atmosphere that will go with you.
Yeah.
And people do talk.
Yes,
You'd
they
be
do.
surprised, even in the in a wide space that is business. You'd be surprised how many people know other people and those type of things that they conversate about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Relationships are so important, and it's so funny because it's always two sides to all of these different stories. So you know, it what you putting out there, just know that people are always watching you, John. It's the
Yeah.
craziest thing. Like we're in a place right now where people are watching you. You got AI watching you. I have an Alexa in my house, right? I know people like, well, you don't say that. It's the truth, y'all. I have an Alexa I have two Alexas in my house. And every morning at 7:30, one of them just come on and just start playing my podcast for me so I can listen. I don't have to say anything. She's programmed to come on. She's come on and she started the podcast. On our watches, my husband and I was sitting at dinner the other night. So he bought me an Apple Watch for my birthday a couple of weeks ago. Sitting to the table eating dinner, just eating, the watch starts to talk. Now he has an Apple Watch. He said the watch is talking. I said the watch is talking. I didn't say anything to the watch. It just started talking. It's everywhere. So I want to get back to this smart technology.
Sure.
Because we know we help people. We know that people, and I'll give you a prime example. I got to the point where I have one of my websites is called Gen X University, genxuniversity.com, because I talk to a lot of people who are a lot of women really who are like 50 and above, and they want to do something because they've done all this stuff. Now they want to do something more purposeful. They want to create legacies and they want to start these business. So they think, so I use AI to create Gen X University, right? So the way Gen X University works is you go to the website and the first thing you do is you start with Coach Ev. Coach Ev is AI. If you can get past Coach Ev, then we can work together. But you got to first get past Coach Ev.
Okay.
And I did that because I think people think they want to start a business. And for me, I don't have to do so many 15-minute discovery calls because if you can get past Coach Ev, you'll be all right. Now we can do the 15-minute discovery calls because you've gone through that whole process. Because here's the thing, John, and if you can't spend 2 hours going through a survey to help you build this business that you claim you want to do, you're not going to build that business because it's going to come with so many ups and downs.
Yeah.
It's
sounds like a GPT. It sounds like a GPT that you created.
It is.
Okay.
And I call it Coach Eb though. So
nice.
Eb was my mom's name, and it's an acronym for some. I forgot the acronym, but my mother's name was Evelyn. And I was telling my husband, I need to find a name for this AI, right? And Eb popped up on my TV when I said it. And I call my mother. We would call her Ev, like Ev. My brother and I would say we would call mom, but sometimes we would call her Ev. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. That's the name of the AI. So, but it stands for something. It's an acronym for something too. But when you think about AI and all the things it can do in respect to even that part, like saving us some time as business owners from people kicking tires and not really knowing what they want to do, do you stay up to date with all the technology because it's so much?
Yes and no. And to elaborate on that, I try to be aware, but one of the things that pushes me forward was making myself take a few steps back, because I'm one of these individuals where the second I decide that I'm going to do something in my space, my business space, and I see something that will allow me to do a task faster, better, or more elaborate, I get all excited and be like shiny ball syndrome. Ooh, this, ooh, that.
Yeah.
And that's a recipe for disaster in this space, because at the time, again, as we are talking right now, there's who knows how many different AI apps that are coming out.
Thousands.
There's one that I keep on my screen. I got like half dozen tabs up right now that was it Futuretopia? I think that's the name of it. And it just lists so many different apps based on the parameters that you're looking for, what you're looking for, something that will put together a presentation or generate an image, or Chat GPT. Of course, that's going to pop up in there. And it's with so much, there is no way for you to move forward if you're trying to keep up on everything. And one of the wisest things that I have heard, and It was just recently. It was Alicia Little, and she was the gist of it was basically, look, finding your sweet spot, a couple of different apps that you actually do well with, and you work with that. And then basically you start branching out as you become competent in those, you just start branching out in other things. But the common core that they always have is these things are the ones that speak to what it is that you're doing, and you're not trying to getting overwhelmed and brain exploding by trying to keep up on each and everything. And it took me a minute to realize that that's what I was doing, and that's why I was spinning my wheels. Is every time she came in and did a presentation and showed us something else cool, I had the shiny ball moment again. Ooh, I could do this, I could do that. And no, slow down, slow down. Look, and that's a lesson for me as a professional, and that's definitely a lesson as for those individuals who are dabbling in this and not doing this as a business, but actually just using apps to create complete a task. Find what it is that you're doing and spend enough time to get competent in it. And don't you can experiment and play around at your leisure, but don't set yourself up for failure trying to keep up on every single thing, because this is a very early stage. And as such, in a very early stage of development for any technology, everybody and their brother and their cousin is coming up with a version of something. And you will go insane trying to keep up with it. And you won't get anything done.
Yeah,
And that was a
absolutely.
lesson I had to learn. And if I was speaking to anybody about that that's actually dabbling in it, that would be the first thing I say. It's like, find a couple that speak to your tasks that you need to complete and really work on getting good at them, and then just branch out when you have the time and you have that leisure time to devote to that. But don't try and get into everything. It's like, bite a chunk out of the elephant. Don't try and just eat it all in one setting.
John, have you seen the Rocket Money commercial about the subscriptions? It's a
I think I might have.
it's a commercial. I think it's called Rocket Money, and what it does is Rocket. I think it's Rocket Money. It scrapes your something, and it finds all the subscriptions that you have, and then you can just hit one button. It deletes all of the ones you don't want, right? So when AI came out, my subscription number went to the roof because I'm like, I like this, and I'll just start subscribing to stuff. So you get 14 days free,
Mhm,
and you forget about it because you were
mhm,
so excited about subscribing. And I said to myself, I know I got a lot of subscriptions because when I look at my business statement, it's like, bam, I'm like, what is that? Bam. So yesterday when I was talking about AI music, right?
mhm.
I'm like, I know I paid for this one, but why is this one showing up? And I can't get I had two subscriptions, same amount of money, two music things. One of them is about to shut down, and the one that I'm looking for, I'm like, I can't get in. It was the craziest thing. So, like you said, it's don't go out there and try to do all of these things because it's a lot of them. You know, like he said, Futuretopia, right?
Mhm,
I look at Future Tools. There's one called There's an AI for that. Like
mhm.
so, there are tools everywhere. But I can tell you that one of my favorite
Oh,
tools that I
excuse
use,
me. I'm so sorry. I ain't mean to cut you off. It's Futurepedia. I
Futurepedia.
Futurepedia.io. I don't want to give anybody the wrong information, and then they be come back to Gwinnett and say, "Oh, he don't know what he's talking about. He give
Listen,
you the wrong
guess and
information."
guess what I'm saying. Go Google it.
Yeah, and I get it, but for me, it's just
I
like
know.
I like to
Give good information.
give you the right information, or at
Yeah.
least correct the information. So Futurepedia.
Futurepedia is one. Future
Yes.
Tools is another one. There's an AI for that. Is another. It's a lot of them, y'all. It's
Mhm.
it's, it's just a lot of them. But one
It
thing I
is.
recently discovered, John, that one that I really love. So I'm streaming right now on StreamYard, which is my favorite streaming platform.
Mhm.
And at the end of every show, it gives you an audio, video, and then it gives you a transcript of the show. Right?
Yes.
If you've ever seen the transcripts, they look a mess. It's like all these
Yeah.
numbers and all these
You do.
lines. And so I just take the transcript because and here's what made me started to do this because Good Morning Gwinnett is a full-blown news site, right? With a lot
Mhm.
of content.
Right.
And you want Google to find your stuff and crawl your site. Well, Google changes its stuff every single day. Every
Mm.
day they done change the algorithm, they done change the terms, and every day. So I started to pull my hair out like, okay, this is driving me insane. So what I did was I was like, okay, so now I can get the transcript from the show. I take my transcript, I go to Chat GPT, I use a GPT summarizer to remove
Mhm.
all the numbers, summarize it, then I take my content because it's my show, and I tell it, turn this into an article, please.
Nice. Nice. I dig that. I'm finding that that has even more so than Midjourney, just chat has actually been the my first go-to because I'm still exploring what I can actually do.
Yeah.
And I got a laundry list of different chats that I have going on still in the history, and I'm still doing that because I'm finding more and more ways to automate and expedite the things that I actually do. And ultimately, most projects these days have a basis in that. I there's one on my LinkedIn profile that I did for the Boy Scouts. It was the camp card campaign. I did a little video, an animated video of the Cub Scout, and it's got 4 different AI components to it. It's like it has the Hey Gen, which is the one that created the video. It
Yeah.
has the Mid Journey because the background in the Cub Scout was done in Mid Journey, and it was I forget what the fourth one was, but the point is you're actually just everything had the basis in Chat GPT. That was the last one, the Chat GPT, because the script for the kid I put together and it sounded like me, but I needed it to sound like a Cub Scout age kid. So I went back in and was like, okay, this is cool, but I need you to sound like a 8 to 10 year old boy, and he switched it and chat switched it up and it sounded more like something a kid would say and not a 52-year-old man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it really changes the game in terms of actually, I keep using the words automate and expedite,
Yeah.
but for me, for all of the other things that drew me to it, when I get from a practical standpoint, that was the equalizer for me because I have to, more than anything else, spend move things forward. Because time, as we said before, time is the one thing that we can't get back.
Yeah.
And I need to move things forward. And if I don't have anybody hired in that space or 1099 in that space, I have to do it.
Yeah.
So I need to move it forward and I don't need to take all day to do it. So if chat will move it forward, I'm going to use chat.
Yeah, I love ChatGPT because for me that was a time saver. Not only that, because Google wants you to have original content. It's crazy because it's so much content out there in the world, and then you create this platform where people can just type in some prompts and get the best content ever. But you
Mhm.
want it to be original because it's not original. Now you go and say we're going to strike. It was crazy. So I was like, for me, for it to be original, it's my voice. So now
Mhm.
instead of me doing 5 articles a week, I do 2 because I'm on here live podcasting 2 times a week. So now it's my original content because it's me, and I just use the tools to make it better and to craft it so it makes sense. So you don't see timestamp here, timestamp there, time. It's like because the timestamp, I'm like, okay, seriously, who is going to read this? This is a bunch of gibberish. But so it makes it more efficient for me, and it saves me time. And then hopefully it'll be enough for Google, for my site, so I don't get knocked down because okay, your content has a portion of somebody else's stuff in it. So now it's all my content and my guests. So that to me was just like eye opening. Like that's great. The other thing I use, I don't know if you ever tried this, was 11 Labs. Have you tried that yet?
Yeah, I am actually working on my cloned voice. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I like what it's came up with now, but that's because I spent a little bit more time uh, giving it more samples of my voice.
Mhm.
And even though I'm not monotone, I'm not necessarily incredibly animated all over the place, and I'm finding that that's the tricky part to get it to emulate my voice the way it really sounds, is because I have to go really above and beyond to actually represent those highs and lows of my voice so that it'll get an adequate representation. And for anyone who's listening, 11 Labs is a voice cloning app that allows you to clone your voice so that you can utilize it in your marketing and presentations. And for me, the challenge is, you know, this is how I sound all the time. And there are occasions where I might go up a few octaves, but for the most part, this is it. And I think the technology has got me sounding monotone because that's how it's representing me. And I really have to go, I have to make myself go up, and I feel silly, but that's what's going to have to happen to get an adequate representation, because there are people that don't know me and they'll hear my cloned voice and they'll say, okay, this is John Carter. But, my people that have known me since day one, they're going to tell me the truth. They're going to tell me the truth. And I think there's a little bit of vanity to it as well. As I want it to sound like, if I want to close my eyes and say, okay, I think that's me. And that's important.
I think the most authentic clone voice I've heard so far is Joe Rogan's. Like his voice.
Heard his.
You probably heard it, didn't even know it was cloned.
I know my my AI mentor. I call her Sensei. I mentioned her a few times, Alicia Little. It's like,
yeah,
her voice, her clone voice, man. I'm still trying to figure out. Hey, look, really, how did you do that? I say, what? I think it was the mic that she mentions. The mic. I need to upgrade my mic because maybe that's the secret weapon, because hers is just.
I heard hers. I heard hers. It sounds amazing. It sounds just like her. I'm like, wow, it sounds just like her.
She also has those. But then she also has those highs and lows in her voice that I don't have unless I'm really go to a level that would have people thinking something was wrong with me. But she naturally has that. It's just that bubbly, energetic type of vibe. And me, that's it.
I think I need to send about 5 or 10 of my podcast episodes over to 11 Labs. Like, here I am on all these different days, figure it out. Because I did it like you. At first, I just sat there and I was like, okay, I'm gonna clone my voice. I did it. I was like, yeah, I don't like that. And I never did it again. I was like, I don't like that. I'm just going to use some of the voices. Now, I can tell you, I used 11 Labs for a case study, not a case study, for a client. And they wanted a podcast. They didn't necessarily want to be on the podcast, so we didn't do the voice cloning for them, but they wanted a podcast for their company and they just didn't have the time. So we did a web scraper, scraped the website for them, all of the stuff that they offer, took all that content and turned it into all these amazing 5-minute episodes and produced their podcast. Came out every Wednesday at 12 o'clock. And so for them, that was great because now they had a podcast that was done. It was talking about the things that they did in their business based on the information that was pulled. I thought it was amazing. And what was interesting is I would play an episode wherever I went so people could hear it, because I was talking about AI so much. And they was like, that's not a real person. I'm like, nah, that's AI. And it was great. So I use 11 Laughs for that because, she wanted a podcast. She just didn't have the time nor the desire. We talked about that earlier. The time, she didn't have either the time nor the desire to do it.
Right.
And so, Noise stepped in, which is my company. It was like, we'll do it for you. And it worked out great. So we did a podcast series for her. And now she has podcast episodes out there floating in the world on Apple and Google and, Spotify and iHeart, all of these places where podcasts are being consumed. And it's talking about the things that she do in her business with a call to action in every episode back to her business.
Yeah. Hadrian is a good Hadrian. I would encourage taking a look into as well.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is that I was actually, as I started doing more videos in there, and if you look again on my LinkedIn profile, you also see a little an animated avatar of a pretty brown African American sister named Connie. That's my virtual avatar and ambassador. So that's how I sidestep my being in front of the camera all the time, because I'm the behind the camera guy. Yeah. But I actually did a video avatar, the live video avatar of myself. And I recorded some video and it recorded the video where I can actually put in my script and it'll actually read it off. And my voice sounds pretty good on that one too. I still have to work on it because it actually sounds like I have a little bit of a lisp, but that was because that was my first draft. But
Mm-hmm.
what impressed me was I really had footage of myself, ironically enough, sitting right where I am right now, give or take a few inches. But I was talking and it was speaking in a voice that sounds the closest to what I sound like right now. And I would encourage actually looking into that because then you'd have the access to the video as well and just pop in whatever your script is and then have that person, that virtual you rattling off whatever it is that you have to do while you're off doing whatever else that demands your attention.
So do you think that because we have all of this great technology, do you see yourself implementing like these type of resources with your clients, like the Hey Gens? Because I love Hey Gen too.
Mhm.
First, I think the first one I tried was DID. I tried that one first. It was a little bit too robotic for me. And
I
then
I dabbled. I'm still dabbling in that one, but like we were saying before, um, I I'm spending more time committing to what I said I was going to do, where
yeah,
I get into something and I have a little groove going and I want to push it as far as it goes before I get into other stuff because I'm good for getting that ooh shiny ball moment.
yeah,
And so I want
yeah,
to stay where I am and dabble so
yeah.
that I can maximize where I am in this particular app, and then kind of see when I have some extra time. See, okay, let's do this one. Let's see what this will do, and then I can compare them with one another. But the shiny ball thing is real, and even if you're a seasoned professional in this space,
Real.
the shiny ball thing is real. It's like you get into it and you see this, and you be in like 30 different directions and totally spinning your wheels.
It's definitely real, and it's hard for creatives. I'm gonna just be honest with you because we're
Mm,
creatives, and when
yes.
you are a creative and you see all these great tools out there, you want to learn about all of them all at once. And so I'm like you when it comes to that, but I've learned too that I need to make sure that I really just focus on the things that's going to help me drive my business forward. So I use a lot of the video tools. I use 11 Labs. I use a lot of the summarizers and things like that because I create so much content, and then I can help my clients, the ones who just don't have the time. And I'm an idea machine, so I need a logo for every idea I have, even if I'm not going to use it. I was telling somebody yesterday, like I have 109 domain names. They was like, "What?" I said, "It used to be 240." It was so
Mm.
bad to GoDaddy call me. It's like, "Hi, do you know that we have a club for the domain club?" I was like, well, how many do I have? She said 240. I was like, I have a 240. I had that many. I'm down to 109
Mm.
now. So I'm a recovering domain addict.
Yeah, it's the
Um,
first step is admitting you have a problem.
yes, I have a problem, y'all. So now instead of creating domain names, I create logos because they're free and I don't have
Right.
to pay for them every year. So listen, John, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for being my guest this morning. John and I have been trying to make this happen for about a month and a half, I think, and we're finally here. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
appreciate your time and appreciate you sharing your journey. And I know you're going to help a lot of people. With this thing and multimedia and all the things that you do down in Jacksonville. I might have to come through Jacksonville one day. And how far is Jacksonville from Tampa and Orlando and Miami?
Orlando, 2 hours from Orlando. I think two and a half, maybe three from Tampa. Don't quote me on that. I'm a transplant, so all I know rigidly is Orlando because that's my go-to. That's that and St. Augustine are my go-to spots. But I know Orlando like the back of my hand. That's always 2 hours away because my
Okay.
alma mater is close by. Full Sail is like right in the suburbs of the Orlando area.
Okay. Well, next time I'm in Orlando, which is probably in January, because I'm always at Podfest and it's every January. I was just there. I was just in Orlando in
Awesome.
January speaking at Podfest. So I'll probably be there again next year. I don't know if I'm speaking this year though, because I don't know if I got anything to talk about this year.
Yeah,
But
give us some lead time. Me and the missus might be able to get the time off so we can both come out and see you and hubby.
That'd be great. My husband never comes. It's always my business
Oh,
partner because he said the conferences are too long, so he never comes. But my business partner, she always come because she had a podcast. She just retired hers, and I'm constantly podcasting. So it's she and I at the conference, running around to all the conferences after I get finished speaking. So
I'm working out.
it'll be her name is Georgia. She's also the vice president of the Gwinnett Women's Chamber as well. So been
Yeah.
my business partner for 25 years. So we leave the husbands home and we go to the Podfest.
I'm going back to it. I started out one called the Green Room, and it was just basically a space where I showcased those entrepreneurs those great legendary entrepreneurs that you haven't heard yet. So basically, it was an opportunity for me to speak with individuals who had interesting stories that I wanted to speak to, learn from, and just hear about their stories because they're still moving up the ladder, but their observations and the things that drew them to where their passion is were just really engaging. That's the part I dig, is having that conversation with those folks to see where they're going, how they have gotten to this point, and allow other people to see that. Because ultimately, that's how you that's how you keep focus too, is that you realize that your story isn't totally unlike the other entrepreneur that might be a little further down the road with you. You just haven't heard the unsexy details of their story.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I think that's great. You should start back and do video. Don't
Yeah.
focus on audio because it's not enough anymore.
No,
It's
no,
not enough
it
anymore.
really
So
isn't. It can't be because we're cloning ourselves right
yes,
now.
cloning yourself all over the place, like everywhere. Like pretty soon you'll see
Yes.
a clone walking around somewhere. So, but
Yeah.
listen, John, thank you so much. How can people get in contact with you?
On my social media, everything is at Third JC Enterprises, 3RD JC Enterprises, with the exception of Twitter. I ran out of characters, so Third JC Enterprise for them. But everything else is Third JC Enterprises on all social media. Um, all of the links should be active on the website. So I would encourage you, you want to talk, you want a initial consult. I don't charge for that. Or if you just wanted to collaborate, network, the biggest thing is to shoot me an email or drop a line on my social media so that we can at least start some dialogue and go from there. That's the best suggestion. Because since I don't know what it is that you need, let's at least start with a conversation and go from there.
All right, there you have it. Listen, thank you, sir, so much. Long time in the making. Glad we had this opportunity. I wish you
Absolutely.
nothing but the best. I'm sure we'll be talking again because
Oh,
I feel like
yes.
I need to reach out to Alicia now. She done sent me so many wonderful people, and she has yet to grace the stage. So I'm gonna reach out to her. But
Oh, my goodness. Are you serious?
listen, she spoke at our conference though. She spoke at the AI Summit in January. So we
Who's
did
speaking
have her.
now?
Yeah,
I see it.
we had a live and in person at the Georgia AI Summit. So she
Yeah.
was there.
She's
But she
speaking today. I seen it pop up in my timeline. She's speaking today. I forget where, but I seen it come in before I jumped in. She's speaking today right now. I
yeah,
don't know if it's virtual or face to face, but she's jet setting. She always jet setting,
yes,
but
she is. And we know
yeah,
she's busy. So I'm grateful for her for all the introductions and just all the amazing people. But
yeah,
thank
yeah.
you again. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm sure the weather is beautiful down in Jacksonville because we got beautiful weather here today in Georgia. So I'm sure it's
It
even
looked
more
that
beautiful.
way. I'm looking at the window. I'm looking at the window of my study right now, so it looks that way. I'll know when I walk out because I have another appointment to make shortly. So I will know in a minute, but it looks that way. We'll see what happens.
So when Georgette and I head to Jackson back to Orlando, I'll be sure to holler at you so you and the missus can come through and we can sit down and break bread and talk business.
I would love that. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Have a great day. Listen, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this episode of the Good Morning Gwinnett Show, business and technology. That's what I be talking about here. So be sure to subscribe to the show no matter where you listen to the show. Subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode. Go to Apple, go to Spotify, go to Google. go to YouTube, wherever you listen and consume content, go to all those places and subscribe. That way you never miss a great show. If you have missed any of the shows, go to goodmorninggwinnett.com to listen to all the past episodes there and check out some of the amazing articles I have on the site as well. I'll be back again on Monday. What's the day? Wednesday, Tuesday. I'll be back again on Tuesday. I forget. Be back again on Tuesday, same place, same time. So be sure to tune in Tuesday at 10 a.m. I'll be back talking tech or business, but you got to subscribe so you know which one it is. John, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Until next time, all of my friends, until next time, make it a great day. Bye, everybody.
You are watching or listening to the Good Morning Gwinnett Show, hosted by Audrey Bell. You've been watching or listening to the Good Morning Gwinnett Show, hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney, Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the show today and share it with your friends by going to www.goodmorninggwinnett.com.